Restaurants are one of the businesses most likely to fail within 5 years. Restaurants have to contend with guidelines, rules, regulations, overhead, competition, etc., all the things a business will encounter. But they also have to deal with people like this.
Peninsula businesses hit with lawsuits they insist are bogus. The man filing the suits, a California attorney and quadriplegic, behind thousands of claims of disability access violations.
After likely the most difficult year since opening in 2005, Tony Hahn says Taipan survived the pandemic's lockdown.
I just got crashed by this thing and we don't know what to do.
Only to be hit with another financial blow, a lawsuit filed by Scott Johnson.
A lot of our neighboring businesses got hit at the same time.
And I had 4 letters from competing defense attorneys. That's how I found out that I had a lawsuit.
The lawsuit against Taipan says Johnson visited the restaurant twice, which lacked, quote, sufficient knee or toe clearance under the outside dining services for wheelchair users. But both Tony and Stephanie claim Johnson never physically came to their establishments.
In our case, he sent other people who took pictures, and the lawsuit says that he intends to come back once we have things, compliant. And no, I don't believe he intends to come back.
They estimate it'll cost them around $15,000 to settle.
Here's a law firm taking advantage of the pandemic to file phony lawsuits against hundreds of restaurants. And if all that were not enough, restaurants also have to put up with CAIR is desperately trying to join the sleaze class by showing they're not afraid to stomp on little people and vulnerable businesses.
So profiling does exist in this country.
Jailani Hussein is the executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations. He is representing the Muslim family.
To break the fast, I need some water or some sweets. So they requested water. And typically in any service like this, water comes as within the first minutes.
The family told Jailani they waited for 20 minutes and ended up leaving because they felt they were being discriminated against.
At this point right now, we're allowing for Red Lobster to investigate. Once we move forward, we hope that we can share more, or in fact, maybe not share because of the fact that Red Lobster will recognize that this type of treatment of customers who are from a minority community, who are observing the month of Ramadan, not to be treated in a manner like this.
A spokesperson from Red Lobster told us in a written statement, "We welcome everyone in our restaurants for a great seafood dining experience. All our guests should be treated equally and given the respect they deserve." However, they said they couldn't share any information as this is an open legal matter.
My copy of one of the 7 broadcasts about this story received over 1,000 views in Saudi Arabia.
Minnesota chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations plans to calling out a Starbucks store in St. Paul after an employee allegedly wrote ISIS on a Muslim customer's cup. Here's a picture of the cup that CAIR Minnesota shared. They say this happened at the Starbucks store inside the Midway Target last week. The woman who got that cup says she gave the employee her name, but when she got her drink, this is what was written on it. CAIR Minnesota asking for the worker who wrote it to be fired, as well as the manager who told them that it was a mistake.
Can your heart stand the shocking facts about
Sandwichgate?
Begin with a Washtenaw County Sheriff's deputy accused of mishandling an assault complaint. The victim says he was attacked by a restaurant employee because he is Egyptian American and claims the responding deputy did not take it seriously. The Now Detroit's Simon Chowdhury is live outside of CAIR's office in Farmington Hills right now. So, Simon, the organization believes this is all because the deputy is a regular customer?
That's right. The lawyers for CAIR say this deputy often goes to Pita Pita in Ypsilanti, and they go as far as saying that he may eat there for free.
Call 911. I'm bleeding.
Omar Ibrahim is from Egypt. He's 28 years old and living in Ypsilanti, studying criminal justice at EMU. Now getting a real-life lesson as the victim of an attack.
I got 4 stitches and broke my nose.
Omar says on June 11th he was working as a DoorDash delivery driver, picking up an order at Pita Pita in Ypsilanti, when he and the employee seen here behind the counter started arguing.
So he said, I hate Arab people. He said, I don't like to deal with Arab people. I like American people only.
He said, I don't like Arab people.
Yes.
I like American people
yes.
only.
Yes. He told me, if you didn't shut up, I will sweep the floor by your body.
I will sweep the floor with your body.
If you didn't shut up.
Omar answered back with a comment about the guy's mom, and that's when he says the guy hopped over the counter and attacked Omar. Cutting his face with what Omar thought was a pocket knife and breaking his nose, injuries that will require plastic surgery. But the case is only being charged as a misdemeanor assault and battery, and that has Omar and his attorney asking why.
I believe this should be a felony. It rises to the level of a felony. Our client was doing his job. He was there to pick up food. He was attacked by one of the workers with an object in his hand. He suffered substantial injuries.
We contacted the Washtenaw County prosecutor to find out why they're not handling this case. A spokesperson tells us it was never submitted to them, that the sheriff's department submitted it directly to the township. A spokesperson with the sheriff's department says they couldn't see a weapon in the surveillance video from Pita Pita. The men who were fighting were both Arabs, so it didn't rise to the level of ethnic intimidation, even though those men are from different countries.
Just say Egyptian to any Arabic, they will tell you they're drama people. They're lying.
That's one of the comments that has CAIR asking why the attacker is not facing hate crime charges.
I scared to eat. I scared to go to any restaurant right now. I look at the people's faces. I see maybe this will gonna attack me. Maybe this will gonna attack me. This look like him. Maybe this will gonna do the same in my face. I cannot sleep. I cannot work. Now everything for me is done.
While he was still working at the restaurant when we stopped by, the owner tells us he has been let go and customer satisfaction is their top priority.
The victim's lawyer says the deputy is a frequent customer who gets free meals at the restaurant. CAIR says they contacted the deputy themselves and were shocked by his comments about the incident.
His response was, well, basically both of these individuals are Arab. It was just two Arabs fighting.
CAIR says this case is far from closed.
We're asking the Department of Justice to look into this.
CAIR thinks they're doing you a favor when they sue you.
All the precursors to this, all the work that I had done and the validation that I had been given for doing my job really did not mean anything now that this scarf was on my head.
A local woman speaking out after she claims she experienced workplace discrimination for wearing her hijab to work. The Council on American Islamic Relations held a press conference to discuss what she says happened and explain the steps moving forward. Fox 54's Wright Gazaway brings you that woman's story and the response from her former employer.
Last summer, after recently becoming a Muslim, she started wearing her hijab to work. That's when she says her experience at Farmhouse took a turn for the worst.
I was warned that the owner, Sean White, would not like that very much.
Warned by a coworker, she says she even asked the owners about it. She even emailed pictures with different styles so they could decide the best option for the uniform. She says they never answered.
When I still didn't receive one, I knew it was in my constitutional rights to begin wearing it anyways. So I decided to wear a black head wrap to work.
And Voldson says that's when the owner took her to the back office and asked her why she was wearing the hijab.
From there, he let me know that it was such a shame that I was such a good employee because he couldn't have somebody like me representing his company. He let me know he did not want a Muslim representing his company.
She says White threatened to make her work in the back so no one would see her, but ended up harassing her in the months to come.
The managers felt the need to warn me anytime Sean came in the building so that I could go and stand my post and look as perfect as possible.
When Fox 54 reached out to White, he said Voldson was spreading lies and distorting the facts. His statement said in part, "We respect everyone's right to practice their religion and we support our employees in their choices."
As much as I loved the establishment and I loved the guests, I did end up leaving. And after leaving, it was a relief that was finally off my shoulders.
Now, a Muslim civil rights organization is representing Voldson. They filed a discrimination complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Center and have also reached out to White in hopes of getting an apology and moving forward.
And that was Wright Gazaway reporting. Now we have White's full statement on our website. As for Voldson, well, she's currently holding a managerial position at a different restaurant and does wear her hijab.
Right? People make mistakes. People can have latent biases and bigotry. I often joke that if I was not a Muslim and I didn't have any Muslim friends and all I knew about Islam was what I saw on the evening news at night, I might dislike Muslims too, right? And so I don't hate on people who have bigotry. I want to educate them. And so I think for Mr. White, this is an opportunity for him to get educated about what American Muslims are really like. It's an opportunity for him to apologize and to make amends with this young woman. We are willing to do that. We've reached out to them in the past to do that, and we hope that he will take our extended hand and that we'll be able to resolve this peacefully and quietly and privately to the extent that we can. So this is a case where Lacey was actually smart enough. After the conversation with Mr. White happened, when she was pulled in for another meeting with a manager after that, she recorded that conversation. So this audio recording is proof that that initial conversation with Mr. White absolutely happened. So we have emails and this audio conversation that do give rise to the fact that this indeed happened. It's not
Yesterday marked 1 year since the press conference that announced the lawsuit against the owner of Farmhouse Burgers. Now, the situation stemmed from claims that the owner discriminated against his employee because she started wearing her hijab to work. Now, a year later, they've reached a settlement, and Lacey Involdson tells me she is hopeful for what the future will bring. Well, the specifics of the settlement are confidential. However, Involdson tells me that she hopes her story will resonate with the community and that people will take note and nip workplace discrimination in the bud when they see it.
Josh Beckett liked some of Donald Trump's tweets, so you know what that means.
Joining us tonight, I'm Brian Sterling. News 8 at 11 begins tonight with developing news. A restaurant chain based in West Michigan is being sued by 2 former employees, accusing them of religious and racial discrimination.
2 former employees at the Anna's House in Westland say they were fired for their race and religion, as well as for standing up to the CEO. They're now firing back with a federal lawsuit. Former Anna's House manager Alicia Dunlap chokes back tears, describing racist remarks she says the CEO made about employees. She says they include telling African American workers they couldn't dye their hair red, while not mentioning anything to Caucasians.
And if I can't give them better, I can't advocate for them or represent them, that I at least owe them my story.
He wanted to create an atmosphere of homogeny, of white Christian values that really have no place in today's culture. When she tells them that she's not going to tell a Muslim woman that she cannot wear her hijab, she's retaliated against. She's terminated for that offense.
He called up management, including Ms. Dunlap, and asked that she not be able to wear her jihad at work. Jihad is often a word that is weaponized against Muslims to create this sense that Muslims are inherently nefarious.
Anna's House gave us a statement tonight saying they are aware of the lawsuit and will defend themselves against the claims, adding they employ and serve people of all backgrounds and beliefs.
Attorneys say Anna's House and Beckett should practice what they preach.
We hope with this lawsuit he will get it and bring him clearly into 2020 instead of wallowing back in the 1950s.
The actual offender to these 2 individuals right here was sharing messages and sharing tweets of our President Donald Trump.
The lawsuit was filed today in federal court on the east side of the state, working with the Michigan chapter of CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations. It claims they have evidence that the restaurant owner, Josh Beckett, has posted several things on social media that could be considered racist and Islamophobic.
The message that we're sending today to the public is we all must resist what happened at Anna's House.
See if you can count the ways CAIR has nothing to do with this story.
In Texas News tonight, the owners and management of a chicken restaurant are apologizing after an employee was told to leave work because she was wearing a hijab.
And when I'm not here, I'll wear it.
Okay, that's a different thing. That's outside of your personal life out there.
But it's a part of my religion, though, so I just feel like if I work here, y'all could be able to accustom my religion.
Has nothing to do with religion.
This happened at a Fort Worth Chicken Express. The young woman says the manager told her the hijab didn't follow company dress code. An attorney for the franchise owner says the comments were due to a, quote, lack of training, which they plan to fix. The DFW chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, says it will be offering diversity training for the restaurant.
An employee at a North Texas Chicken Express restaurant is responding this Friday morning after she was sent home for refusing to take off her hijab. She told NBC5's Candace Sweat she does not want what happened to her to happen to anyone else.
It's just the chest down, but
Stephanie Coleman converted to Islam several months ago.
Since I've converted, my life has actually been a lot more positive and steady, and I can tell that there's a change within myself.
It's a change, she says, prevented her from reacting negatively when this happened.
Okay, that's a different thing. That's outside of your personal life.
Here, Coleman is seen interacting with the manager at the Chicken Express in Saginaw after she says she was given an ultimatum to take off her hijab or go home.
He called me into the office and he's like, well, I talked to the area coach and she said that you aren't allowed to wear it because it's not a part of the uniform policies.
Coleman refused.
So I said, I'm not going to, remove it for you. And he was like, okay, well, we're just going to have to send you home.
Soon after the incident, Coleman connected with the Council for American Islamic Relations, or CAIR.
Asking a Muslim woman to take off her hijab would be like asking a normal lady or another lady to take off their shirt in public.
Faizan Saeed says an attorney representing Chicken Express reached out to them. Saeed says he hopes to partner with the company for diversity training.
What can be done to make sure that people like Ms. Coleman can go to work, feel safe, feel welcome at their business?
Chicken Express released a statement saying the manager will receive additional training. The statement says he used a strict interpretation of the company policy and did not take religious liberty into consideration. Coleman says she has no plans of returning.
And I don't want to be in a work environment where I have to look over my shoulder or have to hear people talking about me.
In Dallas, Candace Sweat, NBC5.
The civil rights group CAIR says it does not have plans to file legal action right now. And Coleman also told our Candace Sweat that his store manager did call and apologize.
This is still an open legal case.
A Muslim DoorDash delivery man says a man punched him and told him to go back to his country after he made a delivery on Lake Minnetonka.
As Esme Murphy reports, the attack happened last month on a Sunday morning.
The executive director of the Muslim advocacy group CAIR and the victim described the attack, which happened while Haroon Galbait was in his car pulling away after the food drop-off.
He was flagged down by a gentleman who began immediately verbally assaulting him with mother, go back to your country.
The man started throwing punches.
He punched me 3 times for my left side.
Police say the attack happened on this block in Greenwood, just off Lake Minnetonka. The man who owns this $4.5 million home was arrested by South Lake Minnetonka police after the victim called 911. A passenger in a truck leaving the property told us the man was not at home. A police press release says the man was dissatisfied with where Galbait had left the food. The man told Galbait, who lives in Eden Prairie, to go back to the country where he came from.
Told him, when he said, go back to your home, and I say, I came from Eden Prairie, I live there. And then he said, Eden Prairie is not your home, go back to where you came from.
Galbait says he is upset that the man used the same language to go back to your country that the president did to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and 3 other congresswomen of color.
This guy, he talked like same language, President Trump, I think, to talk like 3 congresswomen,
Galbait stressed he is deeply grateful to the neighbor who helped him.
The Council on Islamic Relations is telling everyone who feels they might have been targeted because of their faith to please contact them, as well as calling police. Esme Murphy, WCCO 4 News.
Police and a city prosecutor are reviewing the case. No charges have been filed. We reached out to DoorDash and did not hear back.
Man accused of assaulting a delivery driver and shouting racial slurs says that he has proof the attack never happened.
Earlier this month, DoorDash driver Haroon Galbait claimed Mike Anderson punched him in the head and told him to go back to his own country after dropping off food at his Greenwood home. Anderson says he passed a polygraph test this week that proves he is innocent. He says he also has security footage that shows what led up to the incident. Mary McGuire sat down with Anderson today and explains what he says happened.
Mike Anderson never thought a Sunday morning order of coffee and pastries could turn his life upside down.
It's the last kind of thing I could ever imagine that would happen to me in my life.
About 30 minutes after ordering through DoorDash on October 27th, Anderson says his wife got a call from Galbait telling her to come out and get her order. She refused, saying she specifically noted on the ticket to bring the items to her door. That's when Anderson went outside and found his food on the driveway.
I yelled, "Hey!" real loud to get his attention, and he stopped his car right away.
He says this was the second time Galbait had delivered food to the residents within a week and refused to bring it up to the house.
I swore at the guy. I said, I said, it's basically, like I said, it's called DoorDash. Okay, it's not that complicated. And he immediately just spit in my face from point blank range. Just.
Anderson is adamant he never touched the driver and never made any racial slurs.
I never said anything about referencing his ethnicity, his country of origin, his race, his religion.
Earlier this month, Galbait, along with the Council on American Islamic Relations, held a press conference where a very different version of events was outlined.
He was flagged down by a gentleman who began immediately verbally assaulting him with mother, go back to your country.
Galbait also accused Anderson of punching him in the head 3 times. Anderson was arrested and booked on 5th-degree assault charges, which he and his attorney, Joe Tamburino, plan on fighting. No hate crime charges have been filed.
Now, I did speak with Galbait on the phone this afternoon. He is standing by his version of what happened and claims that he never spit on Anderson. At this point, Anderson and his attorney are not releasing the video that shows the moments leading up to that incident, but they do plan to at some point, Frank.
We'll keep following. All right, thanks, Mary.
2 weeks before Christmas, CAIR got a McDonald's manager fired.
Charges have been filed against the man accused of pulling out a gun on a group of teenagers inside an Eden Prairie McDonald's last month.
Oh, he has a gun! Why is a gun? He has a gun!
The charges stem from this incident November 19th. A group of teens say they were trying to use Apple Pay to buy food at this Eden Prairie McDonald's and it wasn't working. Freeman says Johnson became frustrated waiting in line, made a derogatory comment, and eventually pulled out a gun. The teens, along with the Council on American and Islamic Relations, are speaking out about the case.
These teens were racially and religiously profiled by both the gunmen and the McDonald's.
I want everyone out of my store now!
They're demanding McDonald's fire the managers involved and retrain workers at restaurants across the country.
He proceeded to pull out the gun and all of us scattered so we wouldn't get shot because we were fearing for our lives.
Another thing that shook up the teens is that the managers here at McDonald's asked them all to leave immediately after it happened. They felt that that was putting them into harm's way because the man had just walked out that door with a gun.
I don't give a get out of my store now! Send them out now! Hey, don't send them out there when the dude just pulled the I want everybody out of my store!
The owner explained in the heat of the moment she thought the right thing to do was empty the store.
10 juveniles in the store that are being disruptive.
It's unfortunate and without any racist intent. The Council on American Islamic Relations expressed concern over the employees' actions, ordering the Muslim teens to leave the restaurant, even though the man who allegedly displayed the gun was likely outside. Beth McDonough spoke with the owner of the franchise. He confirmed the manager has been suspended.
CAIR likes radical Muslim organizations.
A Muslim-run charity organization that serves needy communities is giving help to the hungry in St. Cloud. Zakat Foundation is giving away 22,000 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables. The Council on American Islamic Relations is a partner in the distribution effort today, and the idea is to give attention to a suburb known for having a large immigrant community, mostly Somali.
Greater Minnesota usually faces a lot more of the challenges that we see. We know there's more resources available for folks in the Twin Cities, and we are really fortunate to provide so much food right now to all of these communities that we know. Many of them are struggling.
Other rural communities receiving produce today include Faribault, Wilmer, and Rochester. This giveaway follows 3 produce distributions in Minneapolis last month, totaling more than 50 tons.
Why is CAIR in the lead to this story? Did they get the managers fired?
The Maryland office of the Council on American Islamic Relations, known as CAIR, condemns an incident that occurred this weekend at a restaurant in Harbor East. A mother and her 12-year-old son were denied service at Ouzo Bay. The manager claimed it was because the child was wearing athletic gear, which violated the restaurant's dress code. However, when the mother pointed out a white boy was served while wearing similar athletic clothing, the manager stumbled through his response. After apologizing yesterday, Today, the Atlas Group, which owns Ouzo Bay, announced it is making major changes in the wake of this incident. 2 Ouzo Bay managers were separated from the company. The company is revising its dress code so that children 12 and under no longer are subject to the dress code. The company says the incident was not only disturbing, but eye-opening. And the Atlas Group is committed to learning from it and to create a company culture that celebrates diversity and stands against discrimination in any form.
Watch for CAIR to open their own restaurant soon.
I told you yesterday about a Lexington Pizza Hut firing a driver after 2 customers say the driver not only sent racist text messages, but also threatened to spit in their food. Sheree Bledsoe posted those messages online, receiving hundreds of comments, sparking controversy about tipping. The health department went out to check that Pizza Hut out after receiving several complaints on the Waller Avenue location. Bledsoe says she and her roommates got those texts after ordering pizza online, not realizing they only left a 9-cent tip. Bledsoe posted the text on Facebook. One used a racist term and said, quote, "You're the type to be hung." And now minority advocacy groups are speaking out. The Council on American Islamic Relations says Pizza Hut should do more.
This might be the answer. If CAIR were to go into the restaurant field, they might mind their own business. Of course, they will serve beans and rice, and the proceeds will go to finance jihad. And all the best scoundrels are burnishing their image by feeding people.
On 65th Street. The effort involves more than a dozen groups in our area, including the Council on American Islamic Relations.
It is a national day of prayer and a national day of service. We are doing our patriotic duty, which is serving the larger population.
How atrocious.
Omar supporters included CAIR Minnesota's Jaylani Hussein, who praised Omar for passing a bill to guarantee school lunches during the pandemic.
That is who Ilhan Omar is. She loves her constituents.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for your sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you so much.
Have you fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
We are in a moment of a revolution, and we are not stopping.
No, you're not. You're part of the problem. Fortunately, new heroes are emerging from unlikely quarters to oppose tyranny.
The so-called Freedom Convoy in Canada is gaining traction in the United States, with groups across the country planning their own convoys with the intention of traveling to Washington, D.C.
The goal of the convoy in the U.S. is about the same thing. Is they want all the mandates dropped. They want to have people be able to have their freedom back and stop being fearful of living their lives.
This is a microcosm of what's taking place across this whole country, where people are being squashed. Loudoun County is the front lines for freedom right now, and people know it. Oh, the war is on, but we're going to win this one because we own the moral high ground, and people are united. The woke ideology that's being preached and trying to be mandated by a school board that's completely out of touch.
I'm reminded of the tyranny of communist China, where your money is legally stolen and then used in government schools, not public schools. These are not public schools, these are government schools, like here, to indoctrinate children against their parents.
His daughter, a 9th grader, was sexually assaulted by a classmate, a 15-year-old boy wearing a dress, in a school bathroom. Smith's attorney told the Daily Wire that the assailant was arrested and charged with forcible sodomy, anal sodomy, and fellatio. The National School Board Association recently sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland demanding that the federal government monitor the situation and take action to deter parents who are acting as, quote, domestic terrorists.
Folks, it is day number 3 of the Great Canadian Barbecue Rebellion.
What are you fucking pushing? Come on.
Well, folks, it's coming up for 12:30, and just about 5 minutes ago, we had the door that was locked down by the city actually smashed open from the inside out, and then all hell broke loose. A lot of people here tried to cram themselves into the restaurant.
The war is on.
Did you openly defy the authorities?
I did.
This anymore. This is nonsense, and they're making things up as they're going along. I just decided I'm opening up.
Look at what they've started now. You're a hero, Adam. I love you guys. Move.
It must be true. Why else would you put up with all the aggravation from the public, the government, and the Council on American-Islamic Relations?
How atrocious.